Welcome to this roundtable with Coach Hugo Broos. Essentially, a number of you wanted to speak to the coach following our qualification for the World Cup. And generally, I mean, judging by this room, it would have been possible to go to every single one of you to get this thing done. So we figured we have an informal roundtable. You guys, you sit back and in a relaxed atmosphere, you ask your questions, and and the coach is always happy and willing to engage you, and we do just that. So the way we will run things today, the first half an hour, it's all of you here seated as you are. You'll ask your questions. Then once you are done, we move to the Sunday newspapers. Then it means everyone else will then leave the room, and then the Sunday papers will remain for their session with the coach. And then when that is done, then SAFA TV will get a chance to also have an engagement with the coach. So without taking too much time, I will then hand over to you guys. The coach, this time we will not give you his opening remarks. It's you guys who will guide us and tell us what you want to talk about. But as I said, essentially we're talking about qualification, which has just happened a couple of days ago. So take us for the first question and then we get things going. Okay, right. Oh, by the way, just let us know who you are so that the coach knows who is asking the question.
Brian from Backstage Media. Just a light question to start, Coach. No castle today.
What?
You had a castle when you were drinking off the set of
Yeah.
guys sprayed you with beer afterwards.
It's a nice beer. Huh? You know, I'm from Belgium and we are beer drinkers in Belgium. And in the beginning when I was here, they said, yeah, you have to try Castle Light. And I said, no. Because in Belgium, when you say Castle Light, it's beer without alcohol. So I said, no, I don't like it. So then someone told me that, no, it's just a normal beer. And it's a good beer, it's not too strong, and I like to drink a beer.
And how did you guys celebrate afterwards? Did you drink a lot of beer?
I drank more than one beer. So yeah, it was very nice. I think it was an explosion of emotions after the game and many hours after the game, also with the players. I think it was the right moment to do it also. And maybe it was because of the suspense that was in the last two games. We were in a very good position and then suddenly they deducted the 3 points. I said it already before, okay, we did a mistake, but we never thought that it should happen because it was 6 months after it happened. So, but that shows again the pressure that some countries put on FIFA to reopen the case, because there was a commission of conflicts who was 3 times together, and never they talked about South Africa. So we said, okay, there was no complaint, so there was nothing. And then 1 week before the 2 crucial games, suddenly they said we're going to deduct 3 points. So it was a little bit tricky, certainly after our draw against Zimbabwe. But I always said, and I think I said it already a year ago or maybe more, that Nigeria should help us. And yes, they helped us a little bit by doing what they have to do. And I was a little bit afraid because they were not really convincing during the qualifiers. They were convincing, against Benin. But I think they started with 3 draws and a defeat, I think. So that was not Nigeria. And I was a little bit afraid that in the game against Benin that they shouldn't win. That was my fear. Not that we shouldn't win. I was sure that we shouldn't win against Rwanda. But even with the victory, we were not sure to be qualified.
But you were aware that if Nigeria won by 4 goals, they would go through as one of the best second place teams. So
yeah, but you don't know it before the game, huh? and even we looked at all the scenarios, and in certain cases we have to win with 2 goals difference. So that was also something, and I said before the game, I said to the players, don't look too much to try to score 2 goals, because you should be focused on, we have to score 2 goals, and you don't think about the game plan anymore, because you're too focused on that. But yeah, when after 5 minutes you can score the first goal, then I knew that we should score also the second. And I think half time, it was half time, that they said what the score was in Nigeria. And I said, okay, things done now.
Against Rwanda, coach, obviously Foster was out, and then you played a different style of football.
Yeah.
Because against Zimbabwe, you weren't very threatening in front of goal. A couple of chances and you weren't lucky. But more fluid, you created a lot more chances.
Yeah, but I think the pressure was too high in the game against Zimbabwe. 1, 2, we played against a very motivated team, like month before against Lesotho. So 2 teams you don't have to win anything. When you see with the motivation they played against us, then I'm asking myself, where are you getting this motivation? And we all know where they get it. So, yeah, we were not really on our best level against Zimbabwe, also because of the opponent. And when I see after the game people of the Zimbabwean delegation dancing because they played a draw against us, then you know what happened. And it was a disappointment for everyone, also me. The first 2 hours after the game, I was not like I am now. But I was a little bit afraid that also for the players it should have been something that should stay in their mind also for the game against Rwanda. But we had recovery training on Saturday evening, and I hear them laughing, I hear them making jokes again, and from that moment I knew on Tuesday we will be ready again.
You talked about pressure in the Zimbabwe game. That's part of the reason you guys didn't play that well. AFCON's coming up, big pressure. How do you deal with it?
Yeah, but it's different. It's different. You know, I know that my team can play under pressure, but if you take a little bit the story of the last 2 months, and certainly the games against Lesotho and against Zimbabwe. So the day before the game against Lesotho, there was a guy who was shouting that if Tebogo should play, that he should complain again after 10 minutes and blah blah. So they fucked it up before the game, and it was the same thing with Zimbabwe. 3 weeks before the game, we got a message from them that they wanted to play in Botswana. So why suddenly they want to play in Botswana? Why suddenly they want to play the game correctly? Yeah. So it was all those things together.
Is it a case of revenge
But
Let's give a chance to
that makes it a little bit more nervous for everybody. Also me, I was, oh shit, what is this guy? Now they want to play in Zimbabwe. Then the last training, 10 minutes before the end of the training, they were on the line, on the border of the pitch. So the day before the game, to push us out, there was a guy running with a watch. Hey, they have to stop. Look there, to the match commissioner. What's all this? So it was, they pushed the pressure up for us, and maybe also that played a role in the game against Zimbabwe. But we were not under pressure anymore in the game against Rwanda. Not anymore.
Okay, look at that side.
Sure.
Coach News from Africa. Coach, the message from the FA seems to suggest that the yellow card situation is now in the past. How do you feel about the situation post-qualification? Do you still feel there should be action taken against whoever is accountable for that administration era not being picked up, and that could have cost your group that worked so hard a chance to go and play the World Cup, having on the field probably earned to be in a position to go to the World Cup?
You know, when I came here in South Africa, for me it was a question that I asked myself: why is it possible that a country like South Africa is not regular in AFCON, can't qualify for World Cup? And I think after a year I knew why. Because I selected a lot of players and looking for the right player on the right position with the right mentality. So when I saw the PSL games also here, many teams played with old players. The young players didn't get a chance. And when you talked with someone about that, they said, yes, but they don't have experience. Yeah, but how can you give experience to a player when you don't let him play? So I started to look for young players, and I think we succeeded. And why young players? Because those guys are hungry. They would still want to prove something for themselves, but also they want to go to a World Cup. They want to go to AFCON, because this is a goal for them. An older player, and I was myself one time an older player, you know, this is the same you want, but the fire is gone because you did it already before. So that was for me, first of all, the thing to do. And then, yeah, when you have that team and when you have that confidence and it becomes a goal. And what's better and what's nicer to go to a World Cup? You do everything for that. And this team did everything for that. They fight for it. We had games where we played good football, but the games certainly the last game against Nigeria was not a football game. It was a fight. But still, my team fighted that game. They didn't play football either, because they knew if we are going to play football here, they killed us. So we fight for it. So there is a lot of progression in their team. They can adapt very easily on the conditions of a game. They can play under pressure. They all wanted it. If you should have seen the explosion of joy in the dressing room and what they did to me, but this is all, yeah, you have to do that. So that means that those guys, yeah, they just wanted one thing, and it is to go to the World Cup. And when you have that mentality, you can achieve a lot. And I think in the last 3 years, we achieved a lot. We are going the second time in a row to AFCON. We go to World Cup. And it's not finished. It's still not finished. We can still go further and have more progression when you see what's behind us. -17 is going to the World Cup. -20 was in the World Cup. So I think we are on a crossroad now. If we are not going to work with those guys in the next years and months, in 2 years, you don't hear nothing anymore about those players. It's the moment now. We have to make a plan now. So that in 2 years, those -20 are there. And that we have, from the -19, again, a basic for later. And if we can work like this, I think this country can achieve a lot, because the accommodations are there. I was in Cameroon. I don't have to tell you what it is. This is day and night, day and night. We go now for preparation for AFCON, we go to Tux. You don't find it in Cameroon, a sports center like this. And it's not the only one, Tux. The former AFCON, we were in Stellenbosch. Identically the same thing. You don't find it in Cameroon. And there's still another one hour from here. I don't know the name. Far, it's not important. So you have everything here. So if you can use that on the right way, and you can work like you have to work, certainly with those young guys now who are talented, then you can only say one thing, that is that the future is bright for South Africa. Sure.
How important coach is, sorry,
Chola first.
oh, okay. How important, we've just spoken about under 17 and under 20, but how important is preparation? Because if you look at this Moroccan team that has won under 20 now, we beat them in Cairo, but this is a team that has been playing 22 international friendlies in the past
I think
2 years. How important is preparation and everything around it?
the basic is already there. When you talk about the -20, they are champion of Africa and they were in the World Cup. So in the last 8 months, they had a lot of experience up international level. And -17 is going now also to the World Cup. So for them, it's fantastic. But if you do what you did in the past, and I give you an example, when I was the first year here, there was the Olympics. No, not the Olympics. What was it? Yeah, the Olympics. And we talked about it with the coach there. And I said, yes, how is -20 and -18? I said, yeah, it's a not so bad team. I said, yeah, maybe you can put, yeah, but I don't know where those players are. I said, oh, what, you don't know? No, in the last 7-8 months, I didn't see the players anymore. And maybe some of them are not anymore -18, -19, but maybe they are now -10. I said, they never had a camp, you know? No. So what I mean with, if you do the same thing now, all those experience you have with those two teams is gone. It's gone. So you have to organize camps with them. You have to organize friendly games with them, that the international level and experience stay. It's not enough to go to AFCON or not enough to go to World Cup and then finished. No, you have to go on now. You have talented players, so work with it. Let them play even when there is a FIFA break. Okay, those guys plays also a friendly game. They have their qualifiers for AFCON. They have to stay on that level. Otherwise, you go down. The players, I don't know where they will be. This is not the way you have to work. So you have the basic now. Just go on and build up the thing. And then again, I think South Africa can become a very good football country in this continent, for sure. Everything is there.
Coach Tolagele Mganga from Eyewitness News. I'm sure 95% of your AFCON squad is already done and decided. For the players that are trying to make sure that they're going to America next year, and on the outlines and the fringes, what would they have to do to convince you to be selected for that team? And just another question, you speak about retaining the youth. For the man that comes after you, once you leave and you finish your 40 years, what does he need to do to make sure that Bafana Bafana are building on the work you've done?
First of all, about the players, okay, I think the selection for AFCON will not change a lot. That depends also of injuries and so on. We hoped already to have Temba back, but you see, he's still not there. So those things are playing a role in the next weeks. But it's not a secret that the players who were there with some other players, but not 5 or 6, maybe 2 or 3, that will be the selection who will go to AFCON. And after that, it's exactly the same. I knew that after AFCON of -20 and the World Cup, that there were already people who asked me, yes, they will now come to the Bafana Bafana. No, this is too soon. This is too soon. So let them please play in more international games. That is the most important thing. And then little by little, if you can, maybe for the World Cup, I don't know, but maybe for the World Cup, maybe we can take maybe 1 or 2 guys already. I don't know, because that depends on so many things. But little by little, we have to now to introduce them in Bafana Bafana. It's a little bit a pity for them then that we play friendly games, but those are preparation to World Cup after New Year, and now for AFCON. So if it shouldn't have been the same situation than last June, we could take maybe 5, 6 players and said, "Come on, guys, you go with us now." But you can't do that now. So they have to wait a little bit, but yeah, little by little, you have to introduce them, and you ask, what will my successor do? You have to go on with that work, maybe in another way, with another work method or whatever. But yeah, when you have that amount of players now, from where you think that they are talented, then you have to work with them, and after the World Cup, you have to start, certainly, and maybe I can start already a little bit before the World Cup, with the World Cup, but after that, they have to come little by little, and yeah, then again for the next AFCON and in 4 years for the next World Cup, I think South Africa has to be there again, certainly. There is the basic is there. You just have to build it up in the right way.
Coach Pashatse from Times Live, just a follow-up on my colleague's question about the guy who comes after you. Are you having discussions with the federation already as to sort of advice or what type of person must come after you? Would you like to help them?
We didn't have.
Some fans have already mentioned Coach Helman. Is he the type of guy who can continue?
You know, I think the best thing to do should be that Helman becomes the coach after me, because then you have a follow-up, same thing. When Helman would take the team, the way of work and the philosophy, and it will stay the same, with a little bit more African thing, because I'm a European. But Helman, he thinks in a lot of things, in 95% of the things, he thinks the same thing as me. And that's why I'm so happy with him. I'm so happy with him. He thinks that 95% of the things is exactly the same. So it should be very good. The only problem with Helman is that he don't have the qualification. You can avoid that when Helman can follow the courses of for UEFA Pro license, because you need that as a coach of the national team. But that the other way, yeah, you have to think about it, and yeah, it's not my job to do that, but you have to think about it, what kind of coach you want. And look now, okay, this one, maybe, why not? Everybody knows that I stopped after the World Cup because of my age, not because I don't like to be anymore. If I should 10 years younger, you can be sure that I wanted to stay here for another 2 years, and then it would be 7 years. Okay, why not? I'm very happy here. There's nothing. I'm very happy here. And the way I can work and what we achieved, and I'm very happy here, but I will be 74. But I read I will be the oldest coach of. you can't be proud of that, the oldest coach. So it's time to go to my family, and they make sacrifices in the last 30 years. Because they wanted that I focused on my career, so now it's time that I focused on them, and that's the reason why I stopped after the World Cup. So again, it will be tough. I can assure you, it will be tough the day that I say to everyone, "Thank you, guys. it was very nice to be here 5 years. It will be very tough, I know it already now, surely, because I have friends here now. Yeah, I have to say goodbye to Helman. It will not be easy, huh? It will not at all, it will not be easy. So, but yeah, that's life. That's life, that's life, that's life. And the others, not Elby alone, but yeah, I see Helman more than the other guys, but I'd said it already, I have a fantastic staff, and I mean the group of 35, 36 people. They are just doing one thing, that is trying in their job to do the best and put that team on the pitch in the best possible circumstances. And that is we as a technical staff, the medical staff, the guy from the church. They are always every training they are there. The security guy, everyone is working to one point, and they don't look at themselves. No, it's a team who is important. That is fantastic. Yeah, but no, but it's part of it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
The jokes. Okay, let's start there. Okay, no, let's start there with Temba.
Temba Shabala, Joseph from Sports. Coach, mine is a little bit different. It takes me back to the, to the playing personnel. I mean, we've had situations before when we qualified for a major tournament. The coach then starts to look for players outside who've got allegiance to South Africa. My grandmother was South African. My aunt was South African. What's your philosophy around that, coach? Because that can bring a lot of doubt to the youngsters that you've been talking about. That there's a player now who plays for Real Madrid whose cousin's cousin is South African. Then they can have allegiance to South Africa, and you'd be tempted. Take us through that philosophy.
First of all, I was a little bit surprised to read those nonsense about this guy from Georgia. Yeah, but how can you write that for a guy who had 45 selections in the national team? How can you talk about, maybe, hey, he can play for South Africa? And if I understand what happens, even that guy said it on a press conference. But he's crazy. He was there with a South African flag. Stupid, very stupid. But okay, after that, when you have a good player abroad, you take him. And that doesn't mean that you block a young player. No, because he's a young player. So when tomorrow I have a guy in the midfield, or let's take a goalkeeper of -20, and there should be somewhere, I don't know where, abroad, a good goalkeeper of 27, 28 years old. Why shouldn't we take him? This guy of 20 has plenty of time to wait. But you can't, and this is something you have to think about very, very long when you do that. If you have a talented guy of 21 here and you have a talented guy of 21 abroad, then the choice maybe sometimes would be more difficult. But I think we proved here in this country that you can do it with local players. And this is one. Two, when I came here, there were players abroad, but they didn't play. They were there. And then people said, yeah, why don't you take those players? Well, but they don't play. And this is what we talked already also in the past about players who would go to Europe or whatever, that it's the most important thing that they choose the right club and not that. It's important when you have, I see, Mbokazi, I pray to God that, because it's nearly impossible that next year we play still in South Africa. But I pray to God that really is good, surrounded by people who think and don't think of that. Because otherwise maybe he should choose the wrong thing and his career will never be what in comparing with his talent. So this is also very important that happens. And when he will be abroad and he make the right choices, you will see what this player will become. He will be a very good player. You can be sure of it. And there are others, eh? There are others. But the choice is very important. So to answer to your question, yes, players abroad, yes, but they have to put something extra on your team. Not because they are playing there. No, when this one coming, okay, we don't have it here. Then we take him. But you see, with what we proved now, that we also have here what in that days was abroad. And yeah, why should you take then someone who's playing there, I don't know where? Because he's there. That's not the reason why you take a player.
Okay, guys, these are the final questions of this first session. So, okay, let's start with you there, followed by Tsepang, and you, and then we close it.
Morning. Young assistant from the academy coach. I just wanted to find out, in the 4 years that you've been here, what have you learned about yourself as a human being, as a coach?
That I'm a good coach. Well, yes, what I learned is to work with Africans. You know, when I don't have to tell you that there is a difference between Africans and Europeans, and I had the experience also in Europe. I played as a player with Africans, but I was also coach of Africans, and we had always problems with them because of their mentality, because they came 4 days too late when they played with their national team and all those kind of things. So we have a certain idea about an African. And it changed already a little bit when after 2 years in Cameroon, but after 4 years in South Africa, it changed a lot. And when you understand an African, and this is what I learned, when you understand an African, you can't find a nicer man than an African. But you have to take him with his negative qualities. But I have also negative qualities. So, but if you can touch him, if you can touch an African, he's the nicest person to work with. And that is the experience I have here now after those 4 years here in South Africa. I knew after 2 years Cameroon how I have to work with Africans. And when you know that, and when sometimes you do this and say nothing, it's perfect. Because they are never angry, they always laugh. When you can motivate them, they go over the limit and they are open to learn. It's just the way you bring it that is important. And if you can bring it on the right way, all those things that people say about Africans, they fall away. And this is what I learned. Certainly the first year I had a lot of problems here. And I'm happy that also the Africans adapt to me, because otherwise it should never work. But yeah, this is something what I'm very happy about. And when I'm in Belgium and then, okay, with my friends and we talk and yeah, sometimes always I tell them the stories from here, and then they say, there's Africans. I say, no. It's not what we think. It's not what we think. And that's also the reason why I'm so happy here.
or have you completed your plans for AFCON in terms of how long you want to be in Morocco before the tournament starts, playing friendly games maybe? What are the plans looking like at the moment?
It's simple. I wanted to, no, let's say like this, we start the 8th with the preparation, 8th of December. So we go to Tax here in Pretoria. We stay there till, I think, the 17th, because we have to be there 5 days before our first game in Morocco. So the day before we leave, we play a friendly game. We are looking against who we will play. And then we play the 22nd, 26th and 29th. And let's hope also next year there. I will announce the players, I think, some days before, I think. Yeah, because I still have to go to the draw of the World Cup. So I still have to go also. This is the 5th. So after the friendly game now, probably, but it's not sure, but probably we play against Zambia on the 14th of next month. And after that, the day after, I go to Belgium for 2 weeks. So I see my family. And then I come from Belgium, I fly to Washington for the draw. And then I will be back on the 7th here. And the 8th, we start camp. Again, I hoped to start a little bit earlier, really. But yeah, for the second time, PSL didn't want to collaborate a little bit, because that is the final of the Carling Cup. So maybe they don't like to hear it, but I'm very happy that Chiefs and Sundowns already are out.
Sure. Please, Jabul. Sure. It's him.
Coach Jabul from News 24. How much did growing up in a Catholic school and having a father as a policeman shape you in how you approach discipline as a coach?
Oh, repeat.
I'm saying your upbringing in a Catholic school and also having a father who's in the police. How much did that shape you in terms of how you approach discipline as a coach?
You know, my education has always been work hard and don't have a big mouth. Maybe sometimes I have a big mouth now, but that's my education. And I think it helped me, certainly in that crazy world of football. It helped me to, is it right, relativate some things?
Relate to some things.
Is it right word, relativate? Yeah?
Relate.
Relate. For me, it's not always very, very, very bad or very, 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 very good. It is good, but it can still better. It's bad, yeah, but it's not so bad. And that helps a lot. Certainly in the job I do. Because now, and this is normal, I don't blame someone for that, but now everyone is euphoric and wow, everything is good, blah, 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 this and that. But I know that one day I would fail in something, that those guys who shut up now are there again. So why should I be euphoric now? No, I'm very happy, that's all. I was, 2 hours I was down after Zimbabwe, but I was never, and I should never be, if we shouldn't qualify, that was not for me the end of the world. So I can see the things in another perspective, in another way than some other people are doing. And when you can't do that in football, then it's a very, very stressy job, a very stressy job. Because today you're euphoric and tomorrow you're down. And this is, I think, it helped, my education helped to be like that, to be disciplined. You know, for when you are a child of a policeman in a little village, you have to be an example. You can't, no, that's the son of the policeman. So when automatically you have a certain discipline, and I have still that discipline now. And sometimes for people, also for my own children, there were moments, I think they said, "I come home, Dad." But now I see that they do the same thing with their children. And with my grandchildren, you know, you do everything for your grandchildren. And now they blame me. Hey, you know, nowadays we couldn't do that. And now you're like, but it's a certain discipline of life that I have, and that helped me also a lot in the job that I do, and certainly also when I was a player, I was very disciplined. I went to bed on time. I didn't do stupid things because everything was for football, and I still have that discipline. Yeah.
Final question, you guys.
Coach, you spoke about your relationship with Helman and also with Mubakazi. I just want to know, what is the 5% that you don't agree with Helman, or you don't see it the same? And then, do you have a close relationship with Mubakazi to give him advice where he should go, where he shouldn't go?
You know, this is not my job to interfere in that kind of things. I'm a Bafana Bafana coach, and I will talk to him certainly. Certainly, when we are in Afghan, I will have the time, and I will deal my experience with him, and I hope that he listen. But I think he will listen because this is a very humble guy. But you know, when you're in an environment who make you crazy, a guy of 20, he will be crazy also. So this is something that I will certainly do. I spoke already with Mofokeng also. Why really is not at the level he was last year? It's very clear. They made him crazy. They made him crazy, and you can't ask from a guy of 20 that he can say, okay, I'm concentrating on football, and what those guys telling me, I don't listen. At the end, you listen. And this is totally normal. You can't blame Mofokeng for that. So this is, maybe it's something, a job. It's in my job to go to those guys and say, guys, take attention for that and blah, blah, blah. But that's all what I can do. And what the relationship with Helman concerned is, those 5% are things that nearly every time when we make the preliminary list, or we made of 23, sometimes there is a discussion. Who will we take? And Helman learned, because in the beginning he was a little bit shy, but I told him, you're not here to say nothing. If you don't agree with me, please tell me. So, and those are those 5% when we discuss. Yeah, but Helman this, yeah, but coach, no, that. And there are moments that, okay, I'm the head coach, that I said, no, Helman, we take this one. But there are also even a number of moments that I said, yeah, you're right, we take this one. And that's why I love to work with Helman. He's a very nice guy. He's very humble. He's loyal. He's loyal, and he knows football. And that is the most important thing. And that is what I had from the first time when we met the first time. He was very shy. We laughed. I think last camp after the game against Rwanda, we were drinking and talking, and we were laughing with it. He was so shy when he saw me, and was in the hotel in Santon. And I said immediately, when you will be my assistant, I hope that you will not be like you are here now, because then you will not be my assistant. And little by little he learned, and okay, now it's I told it already, without Elman, we shouldn't have the success and the performances what we have now. He helped me a lot, certainly the first year. And I will always be grateful for him. Yeah, it's fantastic.